James, we just got done speaking about how we are missing out on really great conversations because we're afraid of offending people. And you were raised where there was two boundaries: never talk about politics and never talk about religion. Mm-hmm. Somehow we have crossed those boundaries, and so it seems like there's a tremendous amount of division among people because we have actually crossed that boundary where we talk about politics, we talk about religion. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that today.
Yeah, when I think about that, you said earlier, it seems like politics and religion is more opinion than personal beliefs. Mm-hmm. Politics, there'll always be, and then people say, I don't like politics. Where there's people, there will be politics.
And no matter if you like it or not.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. It's not a necessary evil. It's just who we are. We're all political.
Exactly.
And then we talk about religion. Okay? Well, I'm not religious. Where there are people, there are beliefs. Everybody has a certain belief of spirituality.
Exactly.
So that is our course. But for some reason, I think opinion, when you said opinion, you need to believe my opinion. It's become more our opinions, and a lot of our opinions are pretty much uneducated too.
You actually said something earlier about tribalism, that we're really like headed toward a tribalism. Mm-hmm. So when we used to be able to avoid, again, it's an opinion. It's really how I vote is my lens of how I perceive.
Yes, it's your right.
The political right.
Yeah.
It's the lens that I look through on how I perceive the politicalness.
Yeah.
It's my lens. My religious beliefs, my spirituality is, again, it's through my lens and of what I believe in, mm-hmm. what I see. So therefore, what I see, what I believe in politics and spirituality is really, it's a belief, it's my own, which would be my own opinion. It would be my own opinion. Mm-hmm. Somehow we have taken these opinions and we have made them that we have our own personal beliefs. We have taken them, we've gotten away from free choice, where I have my choice to believe what I believe in politically and religiously, and you have yours. Somehow we have gotten away from the free choice to where you need to believe the way I believe, or we can't talk. Mm-hmm. And because of that, we have really missed great opportunities of having great discussions of issues that we really can come together with, no matter what your belief is spiritually and politically, and mine also, and really come together for the greater good of the country, for the greater good of our community, the greater good for our society. We get stuck on those two elements, and that's really where we pour in. And so if you don't believe the way I believe, then obviously we can't be friends. Mm-hmm. We're missing out on so much when we do that.
Yeah, tribalism, it becomes very narrow focused. I'm part of my tribe, mm-hmm. and it could be my tribe is the right tribe, so to speak. It is. It doesn't open the way that there are other tribes or other ways of thinking.
Right. And could this be because deep down, the reason why we have done this, and there's such a fear, there's also like a fear, that's involved in all this. Mm-hmm. Could it be that deep down, we as human beings have grown to where we are sick and tired of being alone? Mm-hmm. We don't want to be alone anymore. Mm-hmm. And so we are also sick and tired of being misunderstood. So we have to force our way into society in order for us to mask the feeling of loneliness, mask the feeling of being misunderstood. And all it does is make it worse, because now if we would be in our own little areas and keeping to ourselves as far as speaking, only the politics and the religion, we wouldn't be bringing on all this negative energy toward us, which just enhances the feeling of loneliness. It enhances the feeling of being misunderstood.
Yeah, when we draw human lines, and I'm trying to look at the right terminology, but when we draw lines in the sand, you can't cross my line. I'm not going to cross yours. Mm-hmm. What you said earlier, we limit the potential of how we can work together as a society.
Mm-hmm. We do.
We have narrow lenses based upon our own, again, to go back to the word opinion, based on our own opinion, and not willing to look across the street and see the differences and actually learn from the differences, because that's the most beautiful thing about America. We don't want people to, we don't really, at the end of the day, great relationships is when we look across our own self and look at the other person and how they enhance us, because we all enhance us. It reminds me when our forefathers put in America, why was there freedom of religion? We come from England. There's a part of, we've been in that aristocratic or monarchy world where we all have to believe the same. And the beautiful thing about America, freedom of religion. We're not drawing narrow lines. You could be a Muslim.
That's exactly what they were going to do, is they were going to make this a Christian-only country, but then they realized that they're actually reinventing from what they're running from.
Exactly.
That's what happens when we react.
Yeah. And
versus reaction versus being proactive.
Then it's no longer lines. Now we're building fortresses.
Exactly.
We're scared of each other. We're scared. We can't get all the way together. We're scared of our neighbor, you know. And at the end of the day, we're all neighbors. At the end of the day, we all live together. What does it look like for us to live together with not stereotype glasses to where they're very narrow? And exactly, our forefathers, I love freedom of religion. Again, my dad said, you don't talk about two things, politics and religion. There's a freedom in that.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, a true religion is not talked about. It's lived.
Exactly.
It always comes down to, if you really live your belief, you don't have to tell people about it.
You really don't.
And there's this thing that we have to, and this is where I really disagree with, and I will stand on it. We have to go proclaim. We like proclaiming. So if I'm a Christian, I need to proclaim it, and I need to tell you need to become a Christian, or whatever. We need to proselytize by our words.
Right.
However, I believe, and we've done this with it. We've learned it with our children. More is taught by action than is taught by words.
True statement.
You teach your children how you live. So let's put it this way. So if your religion works, it's going to infect other people by your actions. So why do you have to tell people? Why do you have to proclaim? We have this thing that we need to proclaim. We need to proclaim X on the political party. Why do we have to proclaim it?
That's exactly true, because if there is a distinction between, for instance, the politics, right? There's a Republican and Democrat.
Yes.
Why do we have to proclaim that I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican? What does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
What does it matter? And it really comes down to the fact that we look at that and say, well, it matters because, so look at who's going to become our president, and the president's going to do this and this and this when the president, well, let's face it, our forefathers thought this all through, so we have a check and balance. The president doesn't have that much power. It has to go through two different branches of the government in order for it to pass. And the truth of it is, the government is always slow to move. It really is very slow to move. So we really create this fear, and obviously, if our neighbor doesn't agree with us, then our neighbor's against us. So it becomes this us and them mentality.
Yes.
When reality is, it's not an us and them. It's a we. It's not an us and them.
Yes, we the people.
We the people, exactly. It says we the people. We all have the same privileges in America.
And same opportunity.
And the same opportunities. The freedom of religion. We have that. We have the freedom of speaking out. We can speak out. We have all these things. It's not an us and them. The reason why it's an us and them is because we have fear that comes into. Then we have to ask ourselves, what are we scared of? What is being threatened? When we access fear because our neighbor didn't vote how we did, or, we're getting the president that we didn't vote for. So what exactly is the fear of this?
Well, and here's one of the things that you said earlier and I'm seeing in action. We saw it in action a week ago at a city council meeting. There's we evolve. Every society evolves, and their laws need to be changed. Mm-hmm. Based upon the evolution of things are changing. For instance, you just said earlier, and I'll go back to our council meeting a little bit, but you said earlier, it used to be firemen. Mm-hmm. Now, ladies have moved into the fire force. Back then, most of the time it was always men. Okay? So, I love it. We're changing it to fighter.
Firefighter.
Firefighter. I mumbled a little bit there. We're changing it to that. Why is that? Well, we looked at things in the past. That doesn't work for things today.
Police officer would be the same thing.
Yes, I love it because ladies are moving into that world. That's great. That's an evolution. That's progress. So let's not fight about it. Let's just change the name. Let's not react to it. Also, as we evolve as a society, we look at things in our past that haven't been done justly. There's been injustices. Again, when every country starts out, there's injustice that happen. Mm-hmm. So as a free society, let's come together. Let's not look at these injustices to separate us, but let's come together to remove the injustice. And that's what happened at a city council meeting a couple weeks ago. There was an injustice, a law that needed to be changed. And what was remarkable, both sides of the aisle worked to change it. And it was a beautiful response. There was nobody, not even the audience, that pushed back, Democrat or Republican.
Well, I think, yes, exactly, James. I think reality is what is creating the us and them also is a tribalism. But what is creating the us and them is competition. Okay, so here's the thing. In that situation, here's the problem, and this needs to be changed because there's a group of people that are suffering. Their whole lifestyle is being affected by this, okay?
Yes.
So the reason why it was a bipartisan, that's when you call it a bipartisan situation, is because what happens so many times of why we can't do a bipartisan, why we have to have an us and them, is because, okay, if I'm Republican, then I need to give a check mark for the Republican Party. Look what we did. If I'm a Democrat, I need to make a check mark for the Democrat Party. Look what we did, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm focused on my party and I'm focused on getting check marks for my party because I want to elevate my party to the top, right? Because my party is the best. Okay. So therefore, everything that passes that's great needs to be, okay, say again, if I'm a Democrat, it needs to be Democratic. So if the Republicans are bringing something forth that isn't good, that's good, but it will give them kudos. I'm gonna go against it. We have lost that bipartisanship. We have lost that. It's not Republican. It's not a Republican and a Democrat issue. It is a society issue, and we need to come together. We need to not look. Well, we can get kudos for our party. We need to look at what can we do to better. We need to take responsibility for why am I here sitting on the city council seat and why am I voting anyways? We need to start taking responsibility, and that's what's not happening is there's not that responsibility taken. Instead, I'm focused on what I can get for my community, what I can get where I can get my name on it. I'm focused on that instead. So That's where comes the us and them, and it pours out into the we the people. We have the same kind. We have followed this kind of mindset, and so my president is better than your president, and so if my president doesn't get elected, then the world's coming to an end, and if your president gets elected, then we're being, the world's coming to an end. Instead of looking at what's best for the big country, what's best for when we vote, we shouldn't be voting per parties. We should be voting what's best for the country moving forward. And exactly what you did say, who we are today as America, we have evolved from when you were raised. Mm-hmm. We don't talk about religion and politics. We have evolved from that. Mm-hmm. But what is happening is we're losing opportunity to speak on greater and having great conversations because we are so focused on us and them, and we are we are competing against each other.
And I like your word competitive. And what I want to challenge you to push out here is we just need to redirect. Competition isn't a bad thing.
No, it's not.
Let's redirect that competition, okay? Not against each other. So what would it be if you and I were campaigning against each other and we become in competition? A healthy competition would say, again, we talk about results and actions. This is what I'm going to do and what I have done. And this is what needs to change. Not about you. I see this. This is what I'm really good at doing. You come the same way and bring up what you're going to do. Again, tangible, not words, tangible change.
Exactly.
And now we're competing, and who wins? Not you, not me.
But the American
people. We, the
people.
people, win.
Exactly.
You see where I'm going.
See, I agree 100% because when we are in a competition of what I described as, we now if you and I are running in a campaign against each other, I have to slander you in order to make me look good.
It's not about you and me.
What that's really saying is what a little person I really am.
Yeah.
I'm really not that great of a person. If I have to slander you to make me look good, I'm really not a great person.
What are you bringing to the table?
I'm not bringing anything to the table. Yeah. And the truth of it is that's really what is happening. That's where we the people are getting is left-hand, right-hand move. When we have candidates running for whatever office they're running for, we don't know exactly what they bring. I mean, that's the thing that really puzzled me the most in 2016 is exactly that. We got a president that we didn't know much about at all. How'd that happen? How did that happen that we got a president that we don't know much about? The president today, the same thing. We don't know much about him. We really don't. All we know is he was a politician for X amount, but we really don't know much about him. In the past, when presidents were running, okay, I'm thinking back in 2008 was my first time that I really got involved in politics. Okay, when I was listening to John McCain and Barack Obama, both of them brought to us the credibilities. Mm-hmm. Both of them brought to us the credibilities. Mm-hmm. So that I can look there as a new voter, I can look at both sides and I can basically say, wow, this is what this person, John McCain, he was a veteran, okay? Barack Obama, he was community person. That's what he was. He organized communities, but they're bringing their credentials. They're not slandering. Yes, there might have been some pitch back and forth, but there really wasn't that much slandering until 2016 came. And so it was like, how did we get this president that we don't know much about, except that he's a business owner with $1 billion and has been married. This is his third wife. How did that happen?
Yeah, I go back to two presidents that I was very familiar with when I was a little older enough to know. Jimmy Carter was a man for the times. And people can say whatever they want. But Jimmy Carter was a man for that dispensation. Ronald Reagan was a man for the next dispensation. Mm-hmm. You look at today of the great things that Jimmy Carter has done in that dispensation. Habitat for Humanity. Some great humanity. Jimmy Carter was amazing humanitarian. You can't nobody's going to argue with that.
Exactly.
Ronald Reagan was a great movie star. Now, Ronald Reagan was a man.
Was a pretty boy.
Or back then it was a cowboy. But we needed a cow. Yeah, we needed. I'm not going there.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, that's basically, but he's known for Star Wars. That's what he is.
Yeah.
He poured into our military and he made our military stronger.
Military trickled down and it was a man for the times. So there's two presidents, two dispensations. And that's been really beautiful about our democracy is when it's Democrat, we need that humanitarian effort or whatever else the Democratic Party at that dispensation is running on.
Right.
The beauty of America was Jimmy Carter bad? Was Ronald Reagan bad? Neither one of them were bad. Okay. Again, history judges based on what our result. Again, back to your children. They will judge you based on what they were taught by your actions, by your results, by your integrity, by who you are. Are we all flawless? Oh, buddy, we can spend all day pulling the flaws of Jimmy Carter and I can't because I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Jimmy Carter hasn't walked in this earth that's flawless. Ronald Reagan's definitely not flawless. Both of them we're all equally flawed.
We are.
We're all in a process of evolving, growing into who we're becoming. Even America, we're only 200 years old. We're all in an evolving process. What really matters at the end of the day is let's have the conversations of how are you going to do, what are you going to do, how you do it, and how have you. So when I give my vote, it's not really a Democrat, Republican. It's about what is needed for the times.
Exactly.
What are the goods that you have that are going to bring to the table? I don't want to know what you know the bad goods on the other person. That doesn't exactly what you said. That doesn't help me know who you are. What are the goods? What are you confident about? What are you going to do to change?
Exactly.
Obama was hugely, when we're using multiple presidents, but we're just picking pieces of positive. Obama was really good on change. If you're a Republican, you probably think you just have change in your pocket, right? Or the positive thing of a real change. But you let's know that. There's history of change from Obama. In Chicago, he was a community organizer. In order to be a community organizer, it's about change. So you get a good feel of what change is, what he's done. That is what we should be talking about. That's where we should be in a competition about how much I can bring to the table.
Exactly. And we should be talking about the change. We are in different times in America.
Yes,
we really are.
It is a relevant change.
And that's the thing, is we should really be talking about the change. And, where are we going as America? And that's what we should be discussing amongst ourselves. Because, again, America's run by we the people. We vote. That's what it's run by. But we are so busy being in a competition and trying to get, the elevation. And like I said, and because of that, people are falling by the wayside because we are so afraid to talk to people. We are so afraid that to open these boxes of conversations that it may be offensive to people, or more importantly, there may become heated conflict. There may become, we are so afraid. But the truth is, change happens with or without our permission. It happens.
Definitely.
And what a greater opportunity is there than change? It really creates these great opportunities for us to have deep conversations to moving forward, that we can be part of the community, we can be part of the society, we can be part of the moving forward, of the evolution, to better America in general, so that people don't feel, we can be exactly what you talked about. The past has been injustice. We can sit there and we can dwell on the injustice.
Yeah.
Or we can learn from them.
Or our men's sins that did it. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't persecute them.
Well, we can look at them.
We can learn from their sins.
That's what I'm saying. We can either dwell on it or we can learn from it.
Yes. They paved the way. Were they perfect? No. But can we learn from it? Yes. Warren Buffett is looking at the economy right now. And at the end of the day, Warren Buffett can look at the economy and say, "Oh no, there's inflation, and it could probably turn into a recession." He knows that, but does he focus on that? No, he focused on not surviving but thriving. So how are we going to adapt to that? How we, as businesses, we're going to have to change. We're going to have to change the way we do business. Again, Warren Buffett's biggest thing is high margin, low overhead.
Yeah,
That's who's going to survive in these times.
it is.
And it's the best way to run business. So what does Warren Buffett look at? Does he scared? No. Again, it's another change. If you're
And this is what I'm talking about, James. Okay, so we can sit there and we can say that, yes, Warren Buffett is, he's not scared. I mean, it's easy to not be scared when you're going into recession if you have the bank account that he has.
That's true, but he started. Okay,
So
I'll let you finish that.
Yes, thank you. And that is exactly what we're talking about. Is when we are competing against each other to build ourselves up versus each other. Okay, that's exactly where it can come. We're not going to, Warren Buffett can tell us something, but we're not going to take it off him because, again, it's easy for him to not be afraid of because of his bank account. But what about me, who's sitting here, who's living from paycheck to paycheck and can barely get it by? What about me, right? Here's the thing. This is where the competition, this is where the conversations are coming in that we're talking about. Because we have blinders on of Warren Buffett's bank account, we're not listening to what he's saying and taking advice to what he's saying that can actually help us get out. Because he once was there. Everybody was once there. We miss the opportunity to learn from each other because we want to be in this competition, or we look at people are competing against us and I don't measure up. Everyone measures up. Everyone has that. Again, it's all in what you receive. It's all in how you receive. And when we take off our blinders, because we put those on when we're living in our little world, and that's all we're focused on, and we're saying, yeah, well, it's easy for you to throw it out here because you're not living in my world. That's true. I'm not living in your world. But the truth is you're not living in my world either. So when we take that off, I can learn from your world and you can learn from my world. And we can actually, again, it then no longer is about us and them, but it becomes us. It becomes we. It's no longer us and them.
And that's where we start talking about the lines that we draw that we won't cross. And the richness of when we do cross and look across the table. What human being, if I'm over here on this side and I'm saying, I want to learn from you, what average person, American, would say, I don't want to teach you. I don't want to help you.
That's true.
The greatness of who we are, Americans, is we're always willing to teach each other. But I think the pride of America, or the human pride, is I got this. I don't need to learn anything. I'm just going to put up more fortresses. Exactly what you're talking about. He's got money. I got to protect my own. I got to protect my own money. He doesn't know what I'm going through. Instead of saying, help me. Denzel Washington always says, you reach down and give a hand
Up.
There are great Americans that are out there that give a hand up. But I think the hardest part in a lot of it, last podcast too, was really hard. The hardest part for me as a male was to ask for a hand up. I know it. I got this. I'd rather just put another brick to protect myself so I don't lose what I have. Instead of me, help me. And the reason why I say a male, we all talk about males. I did that purposely because I always think about this. You go to the store and you buy this cabinet, right? These new cabinets you have to put together.
Right.
We all know how much fun those cabinets are. There's so many steps to put those things together because they have so many parts. I still understand why. I just rather go buy a cabinet and not put it together, or if it's a coffee table or a TV stand. But the first thing I do, I got this. I don't whip out the instructions. I'm not going to take the time. They're put together stupid anyway. So what do? I look at the picture and I start putting together. And I have to tear it apart again. And I have to tear it apart again. And, if I would just go step by step with saying how to, and just trust someone or trust that, it saved me a lot of time. And I've started doing that. And yes, are the instructions flawed at times? Yeah, they are. Mm-hmm. They really are. There's a number of times where this doesn't make any sense. But I'm going to tell you the truth. I will do the instructions any day and look at the picture. It's still a lot faster. Right. So my point is, there are leaders, there are people, they're flawed, but they've been there. Mm-hmm. You ask for help, and you stop taking your bricks away and start looking across the street. That's how we remove tribalism, because every person has uniqueness in their culture. Mm-hmm. And the more I step across lines, whether it's class lines, race lines, the more I learn so much richness about a person and their culture, and how much it helps me be the better person I am today.
That's true, but then you also find out that the person, you and that other person, are not that different.
They're far.
That's really the greatest thing that you really learn, is that because that's the thing, we really are terrified of people being different from us. Yeah. But if we actually take that time to get to know people, we really find out they're not that different. No. They really aren't.
We still have the basic human needs.
They have the basic human needs, but there's a lot of things that you have in common. There's a center. Yeah. There's always a center that you can come back to, that you can connect to, that you wouldn't even see if you didn't take the chance to get to know people. And that's really what we're really trying to talk about, is the opportunities lost for deep conversations. For deep conversations, for not only for yourself, but for others around, that there's so many problems out there that can be solved with deep conversations.
Well, and the other thing we may have touched a little bit is our emotional lens. We can come and get hurt through things, and we can with our emotional lens, we can put up walls.
That's really why we put up Fortress, because of the emotional lens.
Emotional lens. Mm-hmm. But if we step across and start sharing our pain, somebody that could have went through the same thing emotionally, there could be an identification that can happen, which is very powerful. Mm-hmm. As I share with you my pains, first of all, it does two things. One, you look at me totally different because you're seeing where I'm coming from. Instead, you can see why I was angry or whatever the thing is. For you, for the person I'm talking to, it invites them in, vice versa. Then they can share with me. I get that. Mm-hmm. And it's the emotional wall, and it goes back to the reactions and the fear, and everybody's out to get me. And just because of what I've experienced in my little small bubble. Mm-hmm. And so I put this bubble around, and I don't want to ever be hurt again. But also, what can we gain by, as we come through, and sharing with somebody that's already been through? Man, that is, you can't put a price on it. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. But it's so easy in the times we're in to build up the fortresses and draw the lines in the sand, and not exactly what you said. Have those great conversations. Mm-hmm. We have so much to teach each other. We
really do. And we have so much to learn from each other. because it's not an us and them. It's not a competition. Life is not a competition.
No.
It's really about exactly what Denzel Washington said, reaching down and giving a hand up. That's really what life is all about.
Any other great wisdom for this week, Nancy?
No, I'm excited.
I'm excited. Again, James at Orange Rose Services. Drop us a line. Tell us your story. Tell us your experience. We love to hear. Have a great week.